Hello everyone, Jen here, and welcome to another Sims 4 speed build. This one is in honor of the fact that the Blooming Rooms, one of my favorite kits of all time so far, is free right now on the EA app. You don't have a lot of time left to download it. I think it's only free till like the 30th or the 31st maybe, so definitely go download that if you haven't yet. I highly recommend it. I am building this speed build in honor of it. I love this kit. This and Garden Haven, Greenhouse Haven are like two of my favorite kits. Granted, I don't have all of the kits yet. I mean, I might acquire them at some point in the future. But of the kits that I do have at the moment, these two are my favorite. But I love plants. I love growing things. I love greenhouses. I love house plants. I love outdoor gardens. I love everything having to do with growing plants. So that's just my personal preference. But if you are like me, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting the Blooming Rooms kit. So, wait, before we get into the build, I almost was like, so let's get into the build. But before we do that, if you enjoy this video, if you enjoy this build, if you're enjoying my channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you feel compelled to leave a comment as well. Wow, I totally fumbled that, but that's okay. You know what I'm trying to say. Leave a comment, leave a like. All the support is so much more appreciated than you can ever imagine. We are inching closer and closer to 500 every day, and I think that that is absolutely amazing and fantastic, and it is so cool. I don't even have words anymore for it. I just am so appreciative of it. So anyways, on to the build. It's a weird build, yes, and the thing on the back was supposed to be less greenhouse and more Four Seasons room. I think that's what they're called. I'm not 100% sure, but they're like rooms that are kind of reminiscent of a greenhouse, but they're heated and they're like attached to an actual house. They're not closed off from or separate from a house. And most people don't use them to really grow a lot of plants. They use them as like super sunny, like to be part of nature, but also to be sitting in your living room at the same time kind of rooms, I guess, or like indoor patio type deals. I'm not 100% sure. I just know that there's something called a Four Seasons room, or maybe it's a sun room, and it's like full of windows. But I also wanted a glass roof on it as well. I don't think those are as common in these Four Seasons sunroom type deals, having the glass roof. That's more of a greenhouse thing, but I still wanted it anyways. And that room is the living room, by the way. It will be the living room. It will make sense once it all comes together. It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. And the dining space is quite large, but it works out in the end. You'll see. So, the whole idea is this is a plant haven kind of house. So everything is done in a very green color scheme, and like green furniture, green siding, green, just green everywhere. The only thing I'm not super satisfied with is the kitchen. I was thinking color versus decorating style, and I went about it all the wrong way, and you'll see that in a minute. I mean, it's an easy enough thing to change out, but at the time, like I said, I was just thinking green. We need green. I want this to be a green themed home. So let's go with the cabinets that have, or the counters and stuff that have the green. And I wasn't really thinking about the style that I did the rest of the house in, if that makes sense. But you'll see, again, you'll see that in a minute here and what I mean by that. Uh, yeah, everything else I really love, and I love the setup of the kitchen. I just don't love my choices for the cabinets. And you know what? That happens sometimes when you're building. You're getting into it and you're going with whatever thing you have in your head for it. In this case, I wanted everything to be green, so I was just looking for stuff that came in green swatches, specifically either this bright, like grassy green, or the more avocado-y kind of green, because that's in the same, like, shade-ish of green. And you look at it later when you're done with it from a different perspective, and you're like, why did I pick that? That looks horrible to me now. I would have picked something different. That's just life. You know, even I've been playing The Sims since it first came out. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I got really, really good at building and decorating houses in the Sims 2-ish era. And I just kind of fell off the building wagon after that. I don't really remember with The Sims 3, but during the Sims 3 era, I was raising an infant and a toddler, and life was quite busy at the time, so I maybe played The Sims 3 for a couple of weeks when it first came out, and then with each expansion or whatever pack that came out, I'd play it for a week or so when that pack came out, and then that was about it. So I don't really overly remember The Sims 3, but what I do remember of it, I was not a great builder in The Sims 3, but Sims 3 houses were weird and hard to build, if I remember correctly. Sims 4 houses, I have to say, are my most favorite out of the entire franchise. Sims 4 houses are definitely my most favorite of the houses and favorite to build, and they definitely look the best out of all 4 iterations, but that makes sense because, you know, we're progressing. And with that, my building skills are progressing as well. And that's just the nature of life, right? So this is the kitchen that I was talking about, and it's not bad. It's not terrible. It does go with the whole green plant loving vibe. I just think the cabinets were too modern for the house style I was going for. I should have just went with wood cabinets and brought in like green accents to that instead, because this is way too modern. Also, I used that book as sort of a like recipe book. I don't know, I didn't read the description and I rarely ever use that item, so I'm not 100% sure exactly what it's supposed to be, but to me it's like a cookbook type of thing. Also, in my head, this house isn't just for a family that loves indoor plants. It's also a family that just loves plants in general, and they love to garden and grow things. So they love to cook with the ingredients that they grow in their own garden. So yeah, I kind of made a point of focusing on the kitchen a little bit too, because that's the story of this family that I have in my head. Before we get into the walkthrough, I am sorry if my voice sounds particularly rough today. I have a story to share with you. So I haven't been sleeping lately. It's been a rough month in general, very stressful. I've been having some tummy issues. We've got some other stuff going on in the household. But yesterday I was trying to get my kitchen cleaned up, and we had a rotisserie chicken sitting on the stove from the night before. The trash can was full, and my boyfriend hadn't taken it out yet. That's his job, the trash and sweeping and mopping the floors. Those are two things that are particularly hard for me to do in more recent years with my disability. So he takes on those roles, right? And he hadn't taken the trash out in a while, so it was full. So I got a trash bag out and I was throwing stuff in it, and I just sat the trash bag on the floor. Well, I wasn't thinking. I'm an idiot. And I grabbed the rotisserie chicken off the stove to get rid of it, and I threw it in the trash bag on the floor. If you know me, you know I have two dogs, and if you know anything about dogs and rotisserie chicken, you know where this story is going already. I walked away for what felt like only a couple of minutes to me. I swear it felt like only a couple of minutes. My daughter says I was gone way longer than a couple of minutes. Like I was gone a while, she says. But I swear to you, it only felt like a couple of minutes. But with dogs, that's all it takes is a couple of minutes. So you absolutely cannot leave that stuff laying around even for a minute. If they smell it, they will be into it, right? And yes, my dogs got into the rotisserie chicken, so I have not slept. They are experiencing some tummy issues themselves right now, and every movement, every breath, every moan, groan, or toot all night long, I was awake and checking on them constantly because cooked chicken bones can splinter in the digestive system, and it can be deadly to dogs, like really, really deadly. Luckily, so far, they are just very gassy and they both have diarrhea, and that's about it. So, but I have to keep an eye on them for a couple of days because it could take a couple of days for everything to pass through. And so I am even more exhausted than I was to start out with. And I'm not complaining because it was my own stupidity. I know it was my own stupidity. I know better than to leave that sitting on the floor like that. And yet, one moment, one lapse in judgment, and this is what I'm left with. So I deserve it. I just am explaining that I am particularly exhausted today. We are just about nearing the end here. I'm just doing a little landscaping in the front, and then we will get to the walkthrough. I didn't want to go overboard in landscaping again because I don't like overly full landscaping. I prefer a more simplistic landscaping than most people do. I don't know why. I guess I'm just weird. I personally think that this landscape turned out pretty good. It goes well with the house and the surrounding area. It's not too overly done, but it's not like too modern and minimalistic either. So, it doesn't always turn out bad, just most of the time, because landscaping is not my thing. I'm not good at it at all. But yeah, we're pretty much done with the build here, and we're gonna be getting into the walkthrough, I think, in just a minute. I just gotta place a couple of trees here, and then we will get into that walkthrough. Oh no, I gotta go through and do all of the terrain paint. A lot of people are having terrain paint issues. I am not. I've never had it disappear on me ever, as far as I remember. But I still end up doing it last anyways, and here's the walkthrough. So that's the landscaping from a different perspective. You got the trees there. You can see that lake in the background. You've got the front porch here. I set this lot up so that the living room was facing that lake. So you walk in to the side of the house. The front of the house is actually where the bedroom is at, but I wanted the living room again to face that lake. So here's the kitchen. I tried to include plants literally everywhere that I had the opportunity to include plants. So in every room there's plants, including the bathroom, which you'll see in a second. This is the one bedroom. It's a one bedroom, like cabiny kind of lakeside house, I guess. And I included plants in the bathroom as well, and still going with that green sort of theme, very plant heavy. And this is the living room. And this is why I turned the house this way, because those windows overlook the Copperdale like fair area, and then the lake, and then the wooded area over to the side, and then we have this little deck that our Sims can sit out at next to the living room, and we have a planter area. And yeah, and there you have it. It's up on the gallery, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.